Oh,
Here.
Commissioner Garza.
Here.
Commissioner Hattis has asked for an excuse. Commissioner Colleen. Commissioner Kinlock.
Present.
Commissioner Knezick. Commissioner Morecki. Commissioner Baker McCormick. Commissioner Scott. Vice Chair Pro Tem Baydoun. Vice Chair Palomero.
Here.
Chair Bell.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
All right, thank you so much. Next item, please.
Chair's remarks.
No remarks today.
Moving to the next item, approval of the minutes from the February 28, 2024 meeting.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 28th? Is there support? Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next item.
Motion carries. Unfinished business, there is none listed. We are moving to new business.
Go ahead.
There is one item listed, update on the criminal justice complex.
Okay, so let me first thank Commissioner Anderson and his task force for all the work. Just discussing, making sure that everything was running smoothly, answering questions that we had about the CJC as it has moved forward over these last few years. There was a meeting scheduled for the CJC today, but I wanted everyone to hear the information. It's because as we draw nearer, I think it's important that we're all abreast of what's going on, what the timelines are, and then we can all ask questions together. So I wanted to have all of us here to do that. Commissioner Anderson, are there any remarks you'd like to say before I turn it over to the team?
No, I totally agree. It's a good idea to have all commissioners here that to be able to hear and get caught up on everything. I think it's been a long time coming, a long process, and we're seeing the end of it coming up soon. Thank you.
We see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a very, very long tunnel. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Corp Counsel James Heath. And you can introduce yourself and the people that you have here with you as well.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon with you to talk about the CJC, which is my favorite thing in the whole world to talk about. I'm here to answer any of your easy questions on the CJC, and I brought my team for all the hard ones.
All right.
And so I'm going to introduce them as we go. I'll start with our Director of F&P.
Good afternoon, Gregory Hurst, Director of Facilities Management and Planning for the county.
Good afternoon, Tamara. Oh, sorry. Good afternoon, Tamara Knapp. I am the lead move assistant manager, project manager, whatever it takes to get the county into the CJC.
All right. Here we have a few people.
With us today?
Yeah, John, stand up. Yeah, just go ahead.
John Gilligan with Oneida Solutions Group. We're managing the move, providing the labor and trucks.
Couple guys back there.
Hi, back there.
Just yell.
Yeah, we'll announce you.
Chris Merritt, outside counsel for Zausmer, on behalf of the county and the CJC project.
Aaron Wagner, Chief Administrative Officer.
All right, very good. Thank you all of you for being here today. We are near the end because September 3rd is our anticipated go live date. So at this point, I would like to ask Mr. Heath just to give us an update on the schedule for the moves, how we're looking for the moves, what our anticipation date to be out of all of our current facilities, what it looks like with our partnership with Rock as they move into those buildings. I don't know if they shared with you what they're going to do with those properties, but just a big picture of everything that's going on.
So thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank not only the committee as a whole, but I want to give special recognition to the subcommittee that you developed and set up. And it's been chaired by two folks who have been very much interested from day one in this project, Chair Anderson and Chair Kinlock. And so I want to thank both of you as well as the members of the subcommittee. I also want to thank your staff because we would not be here without them. And you all have been with us through multiple amendments to development agreements, two parking concession agreements, a complicated central utility plant agreement with DTE. I think you've forgotten about that one. An ordinance change for all of us to have a contracting process that allowed us to meet the terms of our development agreement, a change order panel that you work with us. And thankfully, we have not had to meet a whole lot with that change order panel because we've all been such great stewards of the county's resources, but you've allowed us to be nimble on our feet. And so I want to thank commissioners as well as staff for helping us get to this point. Before I end, I'd rather do it at the beginning. I want to acknowledge my friend Aaron Wagner. I hope it's not a secret. If it is, I'm out letting it out the bag that Aaron is going to be leaving the county. And this is,
And out the bag, we did not know.
this is,
Hands out, running around.
this very well may be the last time he's going to appear before this committee to talk about CJC. And he's been my partner in this for a good long time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have a better partner, but I couldn't have a better friend. And so one day, we're not going to put his name on the building, but when we write the story about the building, his name is going to be in the annals. And so
Absolutely.
I didn't want to start this meeting, certainly not end it, before I acknowledge Aaron and thank him for everything he's done to make the CJC what it is.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aaron.
Where we stand today. I am here to present our transition plan along with Tamara. When last time I was here was probably late March, early April, when we were talking about transition, and I told you what we were about to do. Well, here to tell you with respect to transition, what we have accomplished and the road that we have to go forward in the next 30 days as we move into the facility as a whole. But just some high level things that we've done. We've established an intranet site to help our stakeholders and county employees learn information about the CJC and the tasks that they're going to have during our transition. We've secured the appropriate occupancy permits and the like from the state and the city to allow us to move in to the facility. We've held thousands of hours of meetings and trainings with our stakeholders so that everyone is on the same page with the all-important task that's going to start in several weeks, 2 weeks, and culminate in us moving into the facility. We've developed over 2,000 parking spaces for our visitors and for our employees. And all of our employees are going to have free, safe, and convenient access to the CJC. And in what will probably be the most amazing feat, if I'm able to accomplish it, after communicating those parking allocation plans to our stakeholders, if I'm still here and not tarred and feathered, after they get a hold of it, that will be something that we'll be equally proud of. All of that was made possible because of the work that we have all done together. And I want to thank you so very much. We are going to do our best impersonation of Walmart and have greeters for the first several weeks at the CJC so our employees feel welcome and they know where to go when they get to those free, safe, convenient parking spaces and walk and make their way to the CJC for all of those who want a short walk. But for those who want to ride a ADA compliant and safe and well-apportioned shuttle, that's going to be available for them too. And I think Chair Bell can probably quote me when I say the distance between our offsite lots is closer than the distance between the Guardian building and our First Street parking garage. And so that's something that we can be proud of. Most importantly, I want to thank our stakeholders. That's a group of several dozen employees who, in addition to doing their day work, I want to say that again, in addition to doing their day work, they took on the task of preparing the way for their colleagues to move into the CJC. They've been there since turnover, many of them working inside of the facility. And the success that we have in the weeks to come is due in large part to those stakeholder transition teams. They are from the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's office, the clerk's office. They represent JDF. They're from the courts. They represent the best in terms of our CJC team. I can't say enough about them. I want to thank their bosses for loaning them to us. And that's going to be wonderful. We still have work to do. As you all know, we have post-turnover construction projects, changes that some of our stakeholders wanted to see implemented. As you know, I said to them, at some point, we have to cut off the work in construction so that we can have transition. But we still have those tasks, those construction projects on our list, and Greg and his team is working very hard to make sure we get those things accomplished. And you'll be hearing more about those things in the weeks and months to come. We still have to do final cost reconciliation for the CJC. What we have decided to do, and you see our team here, many of the folks on this team are the same folks who are negotiating with ROC and working through our issues with Barton Malow and the like. We have focused for the last month or so solely on transition because we want to get into those buildings, get out of the buildings that we have so that we can meet the requirements of our development agreement. Chair Bell, we are going to do that. There will not be penalties that the county will pay in that regard. So we have been focused on that, but we acknowledge that there's still business that we're going to have to wrap up after we get into the place, and we're going to be doing that. We're going to decommission the existing buildings. We're going to work with commission and your auditor general to do the appropriate audits called for under the development agreement so that we can make sure all of the money is buttoned up. And then we are going to have a huge celebration acknowledging the work that we have all done as we move in and have a grand opening for this facility sometime later on in this year. I tell people all the time, you don't have a housewarming party the day you move into your house. You make sure everything's working right before you do that. And so we've led a contract, or we're negotiating a contract with event planners to help us acknowledge the largest construction project in Wayne County's history. And so you all will be a part of that planning and that celebration as well. And so those are some of the things we have to do. Let's focus a little bit on what we've done. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Tamara.
Thank you so much. We can put the PowerPoint up. And just go to the first slide, please. As James mentioned, there is an intranet site dedicated to the team members moving into the CJC called CJC Connect. Oh, it's on. I just don't think I'm close enough. Is that better? There you go. Okay, sorry about that. On the screen, you'll see a screenshot of that intranet. It was developed to enable real-time information sharing amongst all of the stakeholders and team members. It includes things like transition procedures, site security plans, who to contact for building issues, how to get a hold of Greg's team, how to ask myself or John Move questions, FAQs. It also includes, if you saw on there, it also includes a countdown clock to opening day. We'll continue to add information to that leading up to the September 3rd opening and beyond. As we're waiting for that slide to come up, the county transition teams, as James mentioned, is comprised of over 40 team members that have been working on site since transition and turnover of the facility in March. In our last update, we discussed the thousands of hours teams dedicated in preparation and planning of occupancy in the move. Now they're actually implementing it. Everyone continues to work hard individually and collectively to ensure the successful opening. We wanted to share some recent photos with you, which you'll see throughout this presentation of the interior of the CJC. In this photo, you'll see the expansive stairway from the lobby of the courthouse to the second floor outside of jury services. Although the photo on the top left looks like it's taken from your local dentist office, it's actually a photo of a dental area within the juvenile detention facility. The top right photo is a portion of the cutting-edge commercial kitchen, which serves both the adult and the juvenile residents. The bottom left photo is the jury area within one of the 26 criminal courtrooms. and the bottom right is a workstation. It doesn't look like much, but rest assured, it's been tested for technology, all new furniture, all new fixtures, all new workstations. They're just ready for move-in. The top left in this photo is a housing unit within the JDF where significant efforts were spent creating safe, bright, and engaging spaces. The top right is a jury deliberation room, providing jurors privacy and a bright workspace. The bottom left is a view of an interior of a courtroom from the judge's bench. And the bottom right, not a stock photo, it's an exam room in the adult detention facility. The relocation of the stakeholders will occur in phases starting the second week of August. This phased approach allows team members to acclimate to their new space and prepare for that September 3rd opening. You hear us talk about stakeholders all the time. There are 7 Wayne County stakeholders occupying the CJC: the prosecutor, Third Circuit Court, sheriff, juvenile and adult detention center, the clerk, Wayne County Facility Maintenance and Planning, and the 8th stakeholder, Michigan Department of Corrections. Teams continue to dedicate significant time in identifying and executing the early relocation of items, which will not only streamline the move process, but ensure team members can operate efficiently from day one that they occupy. The early relocation of things like surplus supplies, storage closets, books, break rooms, safes, pictures, displays, and bulk filing, as shown in the photo, where numerous files were moved and organized prior to occupancy. Specific dates and times have been scheduled with each team. The date and time of delivery of packing supplies, the date and time when team members move from their current location and occupy the CJC. That information also includes the number of people moving, where they are sitting. We have even scheduled the date packing materials will be picked up after teams have unpacked. In this photo, you'll see a conference room from the administration building that houses, the administration building houses the prosecutor's office and sheriff's administration. Each transition team was provided with labels. Each stakeholder has unique color, peel and stick labels that are placed on each item being moved. Additionally, they have corresponding colored designation labels that are placed on the exterior of each workstation and each office. This allows for the movers from Oneida Solutions to verify packed labeled items to ensure they're getting in the right location. During move planning meetings, the teams have been reviewing important guidelines and information like a Move 101 packing and labeling package, which is also available on the CJC Connect. They review reminders to remove personal items 5 days in advance of the move. Ensure that all labeled items are done 48 hours in advance. To remind team members whom to notify for technology or building issues. Also information on the CJC Connect. How to provide instructions on accessing Wi-Fi and use common area technology, such as a conference room. And to review scheduled dates and times. This photo shows a corridor outside the courtrooms on the 2nd floor of the courthouse. Visible in this photo is the technology outside each courtroom that displays court docket information. In addition to finalizing moving and building activation, teams have been collaborating on ways to educate the public and the team members about the new CJC, creating parking maps, discussing tours and media releases, hiring greeters, as James mentioned, and planning a grand opening event. On the right is an example of a resource that was developed to identify parking areas around the CJC. I do want to mention how proud the Commission and County should be in these teams, the immense work that they have done. I have participated and watched them in their meticulous planning, their coordination with multiple stakeholders, and their relentless execution, all while fulfilling their regular responsibilities to ensure the successful opening and operation of the facility. Thank you.
So take a few questions as you go along. Commissioner Clark-Coleman?
Yeah, so how many employees are there? There are 5 buildings, right? So you have a total number of employees that will be moving into all of the buildings?
Yes, ma'am. It's about 1,700. It does include a variety of different team members that will be there full time. Then you have rotating team members, different shifts. So that number kind of moves that depending on the time of day and the shift that's in session.
So we're looking at, you said 1,700
Yes, ma'am.
employees, and we have free parking for all of these employees?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we do.
I don't know why you looked at James when I asked that question.
Because he's the one in the know.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. That sounds great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Following up on that question about parking, how are we doing with the jurors parking?
So right now, all of the parking for everyone who comes to the CJC, whether employee or visitor, is free. The commitment has been made for that to go throughout for our employee parkings, but visitors, and that would include jurors, are able to park for free right now. We've been working, and I'm thankful for our efforts with the Third Circuit Court over the last several weeks. They have to send out jury summons early so people have enough time to know that they have to come to court. And so we work with them earlier in the month to provide information for the jurors who will be coming. They will be parking in our visitors' lots, and they're going to kind of have the pick of the litter because the jurors, as you know, get there earlier than anyone else for the summons. And so that information has gone out, and we're confident that we're going to have a seamless transition once we need the jurors there, but they will have access to free parking, Commissioner.
Good. That's very good. It's always a challenge to get people down for jury duty.
It is.
And so this, will
And I've already been hearing from people complaining,
Mhm.
they don't even know, they're anticipating.
That's going to be a
That there's going to be a problem in the parking, and I'm going, you need to wait and see
Right.
what's available.
Right.
I think it's safe to say that people are going to have a more positive parking experience at this new facility than they currently have right now.
Absolutely.
I'm confident of that.
Other questions I had, I think you addressed this one already about deadlines, meeting the deadlines without any penalties due, Rock. So we're on target for that.
We are absolutely on target. If I wasn't as confident as I was, I'd cross my fingers, but I don't even need to do that. We are moving ahead on schedule and moving according to plan. So.
Okay. And
Just a quick question to the point of the parking, Madam Chair. Okay. So there's not designated parking for the jurors, are we allocating any area as they come in, then they can park?
So the jurors are parking in our visitors' lots. The visitors' lots are our closest off-site lots to the facility. If you are a juror, you have the same parking opportunities as someone who's visiting to be a spectator at one of the court proceedings.
Okay, is that something that we just decided not to?
Well, so you
look
get,
at, or-
I'll say two things about that. You've got several different types of jurors, right? You've got jurors who have been selected for a panel, and then you've got jurors who are just coming down potentially to be picked for a panel.
So I'm
If you look
thinking
at
of
best-
panel.
If you look at best practices and you look at
Mhm.
throughout the Southeastern Michigan region and other courthouses and the like, the model that we've selected is the one that pretty much carries the day. And to that point, though, we will continue to monitor, kind of on the ground circumstances with respect to parking. And we've left ourselves some room such that we can make changes as appropriate. But we're confident in the plan that we have that all visitors of all types will have a positive experience.
And is there assigned parking for, say, the sheriff or the prosecutor?
Yes,
For
sir.
elected officials?
So all of our stakeholder groups, their employees are parking throughout our employee lots. But then each department is assigned a certain number of on-site parking for however they see fit to allocate it. And so one of the things that the team talked me out of was getting involved in how they allocate their own parking. So we've given the electeds a number,
Mhm.
and it is up to them to determine, whether they, how they assign those things.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, you still have the floor?
One last question, right now, there's the clearing of the properties that we're turning over. What's necessary? I mean, as far as, because I can't imagine if we're looking at them being demolished, that they're expecting them to be floors waxed and everything. So what's the degree of clearing that's going to be necessary?
So thankfully, we're able to walk and chew gum. And so as we have been, preparing to move out, we've also been preparing to turn over or decommission those buildings. And that's also something that Tamara's group has been working with us. I think the term is broom swept clean.
Yes, room sweep.
Yeah.
swept,
And
yep.
so anything you want to add to that, you can.
Yeah, and so when a real estate company comes in and takes over a building, that is the terminology that they use. It's not shining floors, it's broom swept. There is the understanding that you're going to have IT, cords hanging down, you're going to have tears in carpeting. The building was used. So they understand and expect to come into that type of facility. What they don't want to see is furniture left over, stuff in back of house, materials, extra materials. So those are the types of items that we've actually been over the last couple months already significantly removing those materials.
And moving out of the JDF, the original JDF actually gave us a head start, as I know we've talked about in committee, Commissioner Anderson, in terms of our turnover of the St. Antwine.
And
JDF.
I'm sorry, I thought of another one that, as far as salvaging materials that are no longer going to be used, is that process working right now?
It is. It
Okay.
is. And so we're being as efficient as possible. To be honest with you, there's less stuff. These are some old buildings.
Yeah.
So there's less stuff in there than you would think that could be used. We're really trying to turn over a new leaf here and give our employees and the visitors the best possible and new stuff. And so we're not being wasteful, but we're not being backward about giving our employees the best we can offer either.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Before we go on to other questions, were you finished with your presentation? We kind of jumped into questions. Is there
No,
more
that's
information?
fine unless, John, do you have anything you want to add about the move? Okay. Yeah,
He's ready to go.
not leave, go to answer your question.
Okay, so we do have a list. Commissioner Baydun.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I think you touched on my question briefly about the parking. Obviously, like judges, these are sensitive positions, especially if they're presiding over, security issues for the judges. Are they going to have their own designated parking spots or first come, first serve for the electeds?
So judges have an area behind the central utility plant, which is on site, a special place designated for them. There will be other elected officials parking in that area, Prosecutor Worthy, Clerk Garrett, Sheriff Washington as well. And so those electeds, to your question, do have a special parking location on site within the facility.
Will there be a designated area for pickup and drop off of taxi, Uber, anything like that? Or it's in general anywhere?
So the answer to that is there's not a designated drop-off location. And one of the reasons for that, quite frankly, we're dealing with a very tight space in terms of the CJC. And we're also dealing with a pretty busy street on Russell. So that is why we made it important for our visitor lots to be located as close to the facility as possible. So they can go there, but then they also can go, down to the corner or go down to other areas where you can drop someone off outside of that main Russell street in front of the CJC, and it would be a short walk for
Because we
the
just need
facility.
we need to be concerned about pedestrians crossing the streets to get into the center.
You are absolutely right. And so we are literally we had a meeting yesterday with the city of Detroit about making sure that we have safe crossing opportunities and the like. And so we've been partnering with them, working diligently to make sure that those crossing opportunities are as safe as they can possibly be. So that's a good catch, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Most important question about our parking is where will the chairs park? You have a particular parking lot or parking space for the chair of the commission?
I've got you on my list to send you a super secret text
Okay.
after this cow. And so
I look forward to.
put that out.
Thank you. But for seriously, back to the parking, will there be security? And if it's security, are we contracting with a security company to man the parking facilities?
Great question. And so the security will be provided by a third-party private security company looking at our off-site lots. Those lots do have, as I said, the blue lights, which allow for phone calls and the like. They are well lit, but they will be patrolled by a third-party security company. The on-site lots are under the purview of the sheriff's department, and they will be maintaining that. And then we also have hired a parking contractor that will help manage the on-site as well as the off-site lots, providing the key fobs and those sorts of things that folks will need to access. Even the employee lots and the visitors lots, to the extent possible, we have some overflow. But employees are going to be separate from visitors. And in order to get into the employee lots, you're going to need key access, key fob access. And so we're doing everything within reason that we can to make sure that they're all safe. So great question.
Okay. Commissioner Kinlock, then Vice Chair Palmieri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This deal is probably going to go down as one of the most historic public and private partnerships agreement that had been, in my opinion, slighted strongly to the benefit of the county, of which that I don't think that post COVID, this deal would have been put into place. But in saying that, the county has sold a large swath of land, of property and real estate that exists right downtown. And so among the downtown community and the Rush Park community, the folks who would be impacted by the optics of these properties, there's a lot of questions of what's going to happen with these pieces of real estate. And the Bedrock Group has shown themselves to absolutely be paying attention to that concern, but it's not widely known as relates to what their intentions are for these pieces of real estate, but more specifically, how soon would they begin to develop these projects? Now, we've talked in the past on some other sales that there is an obligation or an expectation that some development take place within a reasonable amount of time. The deal or conversation, is there anything that you can indicate, or that they have indicated that would give you a hint of either what or when any future development will take place, and how soon it would?
No, excellent question. And I'm not, snowballing you when I tell you I do not know. Our development agreement does not require them to give us the particulars of what they're going to do and the like. What I will say, though, is that we have had pretty detailed conversations with them once it was clear that we were completely out and ready to move on from the JDF downtown facility. And so we did take steps to provide that earlier. That helps the county, frankly, because it's less stuff that we have to do after a move out. And they are anxious to get control of what we call the ROC-owned buildings. As this commission knows, those were turned over and we leased them for $1 per year. And when we talk about our timetable, I just always want to stress, it's not the timetable to get into the CJC. It's the timetable to get out of the buildings that ROC technically owns. And so if their interest in getting those buildings is any indication about the speed with which they plan to develop them, that's something that we can take. But I do not have inside information about their plans, Commissioner.
No problem. But as you can see that folks are asking as I'm moving around, what are their intentions? So we'll keep an eye out and ear out for it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Palomero.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To me, one of the most prescient decisions the county ever made was to have ROC absorb the cost overruns on completing the CJC. Has that number been quantified yet, or at least a range of if we had not done that, the county would have had to have paid this much extra?
That's an excellent question. And I appreciate the statement, and there's no lie in anything that you said. Once we get into these buildings, Commissioner, we are the second kind of phase of things, or third phase of things, is telling the story of the deal that you all approved, the deal that the county executive negotiated, that I am confident will come out saying that the county saved, you all saved untold millions because of that deal. We'll be able to tell that story as accurately and effectively as we kind of settle in. But you are 1000% on the right track. And all you need to do, quite frankly, is look at what it costs to build things in your own life. I mean, if you had built, we started construction, you all signed the development agreement in July of 2018. We started construction roughly December of 2018. What would it have cost you to build a deck on your house 6 years ago versus today? The costs have gone up tremendously. Multiply that by over 1 million square feet of a facility as complicated as the one you all approved. And when we tell that final story, Commissioner, it's going to be something that we all who are charged with protecting the county's resources will be very, very proud of.
And I appreciate that. And just on process, is the county paying the contractors and we're being reimbursed, or is ROC paying the contractors directly?
Excellent question. So the county put in its upfront money. That was the first amount of money that was spent on the project. After that money was deposited into U.S. Bank, it was, charges would come out and we would approve those invoices. And once that money ran out, because that was the county's contribution in general terms, then, as you said, Bedrock kicked in with paying. And so that happened years and years ago. And so we're not paying directly contractors that have been working on the project.
Very good. Thank you.
Our go live date is Tuesday, September 3rd. Of course, from a layman's perspective, I would imagine that moving the JDF and jail persons will be the most challenging. Will that occur the weekend prior to the 3rd? Or what does that look like in moving our inmates?
So I'll say a few things. Number one, our sheriff's department is extremely competent and experienced with moving these sorts of moves. And so we couldn't have a better agency in charge of that. As you also know, we've, in the last several years, had a move of the JDF from the St. Outwine facility over to Division 3. And so we know how to do this. They know how to do this. So we have been keeping the details of their move pretty close to the vest just for security purposes, but it is well planned out. The sheriff's department is working hand in hand with the JDF in terms of the move of those residents. But it's something that we're also confident of, and it will be done in a safe manner. And I'm not concerned about their ability to carry that out.
Okay, to that point, Baydoun and then Clark.
To that point, James, are the commissioners going to have the opportunity to tour the facility before September 3rd?
Yes.
Madam
Yes,
Chair?
I have dates that I'll be sharing with commissioners so that we can put that on our schedules. Yes.
James, how many acres? You know how many acres we are using for these 5 buildings plus parking lot and all that? Any idea how many acres?
I told you about the hard questions. Does anyone know the number, the total acreage here?
Yeah, I think that's
Greg?
just over 10 acres for that site. I believe so.
That's not a lot.
It's just over 1 million square feet for the property.
It's, we have had to be efficient with space. And so when I tell you, I will tell you this, we are using every square inch of that building. We fight and hold hour-long debates over broom closets. Literally.
Yeah.
Sometimes for days. And so, we're doing a lot in a little bit of space. And that's one of the reasons why our document storage, going to digital storage of documents and the like, and retooling our processes for how we store information is so very important. So.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson?
I think you touched on just what my last question I had overlooked was manuals. You don't have physical manuals, book style. Everything's online.
Oh, but we do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, so great question. As part of the agreement, not only do we have the digital manuals, but we also have recently been delivered the manuals paperback as well. So the Facilities Management and Planning Department has been reviewing manuals both online, and then also there will be like a shared, an actual drive where we'll have online backup, a physical document backup, and then another backup via electronic as well.
And I would assume there's some type of security that those online manuals someone can't hack into wherever that location is, right?
So great question. All of those have been worked with IT to be transferred into the county's own internet site that we manage. So those files will exist within the county and for county employees to be able to access.
Okay, Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you. The intranet, is that for all internal employees as well as, I don't know, if commissioners? Who has access to that?
Anybody with a Wayne County email address has access to that
It's the
intranet.
same system.
And then, yes, and then we have added team members from the Circuit Court and the Michigan Department of Corrections to access those team members, not fully, but those team members that will be in that facility.
Okay. And as far as the moving of inmates I guess I'm assuming that we would probably notify the local authorities as we move. If this is like a large number of inmates, are we coordinating with local authorities?
The Wayne County Sheriff's Office is making all the necessary coordination, communications that are required for this.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that may be an offline conversation with the sheriff's department, just to kind of see, because we don't want to
Right. It's supposed to be
publicly,
confidential.
yeah.
It's supposed to be confidential.
Greeters, you mentioned there would be greeters on the first few days. Will those part-time temporary positions?
Yeah, so what we envision, for some of our employees, they're going to a new work neighborhood that many of them have never been to. And the first time they go might be the first September 3rd for some people.
Mhm.
And so I want them to have as friendly and open of an experience as possible for a period of several days. We're still working out the details of how long they're going to be there. We're going to have greeters who are friendly and knowledgeable about where to walk and where to go. I'm still trying to get funding. I want a cup of coffee in everyone's hand. They're going to be there to kind of give direction. And I anticipate that those will be some paid positions for folks just on an hourly basis, maybe in the morning, something like that during rush hour. So folks have a general direction about where they need to go. We've been working with Commissioner Kinlock, that's his district, as well. And he is is providing some information about some folks who may want to participate. You may have people who you think may want to be a part of that as well, and I encourage you to forward those names on to me. So we want to, make it a welcoming experience for our employees.
James, I thought Commissioner Kinlock was going to be the greeter for the first 30 days.
Yeah. So, he's not going to get a separate salary to do that. I just want to make sure that's clear, but
They
no,
have this
so.
blue vest on.
Yeah, we want folks to have a good experience, and I think I hope that will be a nice touch for people.
Okay, Commissioner Clark Coleman?
Okay, so how do we get information out to our residents about this whole move? Will you have like flyers of the buildings that we can pass out at our community meetings?
Absolutely. So a lot of it will probably, I'll tell you, some of it will maybe printed, some of it will be digital as well. But our communications team, as well as working with Tamara's team, are developing FAQs for people, just letting them know about the facility. And so that's something that we're definitely going to do, include it, so that as you all are out in your community meetings and the like, especially after the 3rd, you can give information to people.
Yeah.
And so we'll get that to you in the format that you think is most helpful for how you communicate with your constituents.
Yeah, because we have been talking about it when we
Yeah.
go out into our community meetings about the CJC. So I think it would be very helpful if we have some sort of a brochure
Yes.
that would focus on the 5 buildings and their purposes, so that we can pass those out in our community meetings. But in addition to that, digital, so that we can put that in our newsletters.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
That team is also working on a site externally so that all stakeholders can drive information to one place that's easily accessible. So if you Google CJC, it can take you to one page, which will then give you parking information, and then be able to push that information back to the stakeholders with their unique information that they have to get out.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
does. That
Yeah,
does.
and the digital piece would be helpful as
Yeah, the
well,
digital
as we
piece
put out our newsletters.
Would
That
probably
would be
go,
helpful.
would go to our public information,
Mhm.
so that they can drop it in all of our newsletters.
Yeah, so maybe it'll be helpful for us to work with your public information on kind of a uniform format
Mhm.
that can be dropped into your newsletter. That's an
Yes,
excellent idea.
yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Can you recap again the capacity for the JDF for the adult?
Roughly 160. And the adult facility number is
It's, roughly 2,200
22.
residents.
160.
160 for the
For the
juvenile
youth?
house. Mhm.
Good.
Okay. Commissioner Clean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just going back to getting information, that little area of town over there. Detroiters haven't driven over there in who knows how long, given what's been on that site for 50 years. So I think a map, how to get to it. It's in a weird area of town for most people. And then whatever we can do with signage, either on the freeway or on the side streets. So I'm sure you've thought of these things, but I think having a map that we can share out there, a nice, easy map. How do you get there? What exit off the freeway do you use? Because transition is going to be abrupt. Here one day, here the other day. So just throwing that in for.
And to that additional, I don't know if we're working with MDOT or whoever does signage on the freeways as an indicator, as when you exit here for Criminal Justice Center, or that, I don't know if those conversations had.
Yes,
had or
so
not.
we're going to continue to kind of refine the directional maps and signs and all that for the area. And so we have been working with external stakeholders, and that's going to be kind of an ongoing process. But all of the information that we can get out as quickly as possible is something that we're interested in doing. So we are all aligned in that regard.
Okay, very good. Any additional? Oh, sure, Commissioner Babadoon?
I just thought of this, James, this might sound weird, but have we thought about putting the signs in Spanish also in the building throughout? Because Spanish is the second most spoken language in Wayne County. Just a thought. Have we thought about that?
I have now.
Okay, thank you.
Your list is
I'll
getting
give you the
longer.
other languages in the next
Yeah,
meeting.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thought you had everything answered, huh, Jay? On the commission meeting and you get a long list of additional.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Before your list flips the page, right? Any additional questions for the team, the CJC team? And let me just say, as you thanked Aaron and you have a great team, let me just thank you because you have taken on this in
Yeah.
addition to what you do as Corp Counsel. So I just want to say bravo to your experience, your leadership, and getting us to the finish line. I know it wasn't something you signed up for when you became Corp Counsel. It was dropped in your lap there, but we appreciate your leadership and appreciate everything that you've done to make this happen. Let's give James a round of applause. I know you are more versed in building a building than you ever thought you would ever be. I know. So thank you. Any additional questions before they leave? Any additional questions? Oh, golf carts. Are there golf carts to get people around? No.
No.
Especially commissioners. Commissioners. Yeah, that's right.
Be on the lookout, commissioners, for a Google a survey with a couple of dates for tours. The majority will win, and then we'll maybe do a second for the second date that's most popular. But that'll be coming today so that we can get these scheduled within the next 10 days. Any additional?
And we'll be going and visiting all 5 buildings?
Yes.
Yeah, you better get a golf cart.
You hear that, James? And lunch. So we'll make sure that we have that to commissioners. Any additional questions on the CJC? Any additional questions on CJC? Okay, hearing none. Next item.
Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
No other matters. Next
Public-
item.
Public comments.
Anyone in the audience or online for public comments? Online or in the audience for public comments? Okay, hearing none. Before we adjourn, let me just say that we are waiting for the budget still. So that will mean that we will have a very efficient but small time frame to do budget hearings. And we will be looking towards an extra meeting in September to actually approve the meeting. So just know that we will probably have a third meeting in September, which will be dedicated to approving the budget. So just get your mind wrapped around that. And now email more specifics to commissioners. Motion to adjourn? All right. Thank you so much. Being adjourned. Thank you all. So,